Welcome to the Breathe Belief podcast show where I am your host, Bree, and I am so freaking excited to get this podcast out to you. And we had slacked, we had dropped the ball, and you didn't get an episode last week. And that's okay, here we are. I wasn't lying when I said we were done with perfectionism. So if you're looking for that, go hop onto another episode where, it looks awesome and it sounds great and there's no edits wrong with it. So here we are. So happy freaking week. It's Tuesday and I am really inspired. As always, that's my word this week. I'm really inspired to really focus on beliefs this year. And that's the entire reason I had even created this podcast, because I believe that people's beliefs are dictating the reason and the ways that they behave. And not everyone's interested in self-development. In fact, the more that I grow, the less I'm interested in that as well. And today we're going to talk about why. So today's podcast, I want to circle around this idea of tension. I remember hearing this thinking, if everyone knew this, wouldn't it just solve almost every problem close to just love? And my philosophy is so simple, right? Okay, Brie, love's good, but that doesn't fix the world. Okay, so I heard this and it blew my own freaking mind, because if you know me, I hate structure. I hate anything that feels refining. I hate rules. I hate the way that people tell me to live my life. There's just this rebellion in me that says, don't put me in a box that keeps me small. Don't refine and tell me who to be. And I know that there's people out there that are the same way, right? They're innovators. That's a great word. If you're an innovator, hands up, thumbs up, knuckles, here we are. I'm an innovator and I believe there's always a better way to do things. And that will piss people off who are used to a structure that was this way because it was this way 20 years ago, which is fine. We all get to be ourselves and be our authentic, whatever versions. So I heard this idea on tension and it made me super excited, because I realized after being in the self-development world for my whole life, literally my whole life, I didn't know that I was carrying around the belief that I was broken. And I never looked at self-development as a vehicle. I just knew that I was the person who got into sales as soon as I could get a job at 16. And ever since then, I'm 10 years later, I've always been in the communication field. So I knew at a deep level that words were important and courses were good, and just climbing the ladder to a better version of myself, that I understood at a very young age, because I looked to my left and I didn't want necessarily the lifestyle that my dad had, and I looked to my right and I didn't necessarily want the lifestyle that my mom had. And then I found business, and I freaking love the business world. I freaking love it. I think it's amazing. I think women should be empowered. I think it's great to just follow where your energy and heart lead you. So I was constantly under this self-development scope, which said, read this book, do these things, do this course, do these things. And it helped me a little bit, but it felt like, and tell me if you felt this way, it felt like every time I took a step forward, I took 3 steps back. And then I would take 3 steps forward and then take a step back. And it was like I was constantly swinging this pendulum. I was hitting breakthroughs at work in my career. I was at the top. I was doing awesome. I'd hit sales records. I'd make a lot of money. And then it was a year later, it was I'm not really fulfilled. I am back at square one. I don't really know what I want. And it was just this messy paradigm that I was under, which is what the hell is wrong with me? I watch these people on stage speaking and motivating people, and I see these other people my bosses who are millionaires, and I know to do the things. I never questioned the things though, and that was the problem. So on this episode, I want to get you to question the things. So what do I mean by that? So tension is actually really good, depending on where it's coming from. So we have this idea that if we're feeling tense, it's not a good thing. I'm feeling so tense. And sometimes I've heard people tell me that they relate tense to anger or uncomfortability. And tension's not bad. It's actually really healthy. It's under tension that we grow, right? It's like, you've heard it before, you're in the refiner's fire, or you're becoming like a diamond, and there's a certain amount of pressure, and I relate tension to pressure. Like, those two words in my head go together. So tension can come from an unhealthy place. And there's two types of tension that I want to talk to you about today, so that you can see where not just your beliefs are rooted in, but to give you a new way of being. And when you get a new way of being, it's like freaking candy. You're like, yes, give me more dopamine hits. At least that's how it was for me. So the concept is the psychological tension. So that's the first tension, psychological tension. So like, what the heck is that? So psychological tension is when we do things and we do a certain set of behaviors only because we're trying to resolve something. So anytime you're under psychological tension, it's going to look for a resolve, a release, a fix, right? So 90% of the world, and I'd even almost dare say higher than 90, most of us live under psychological tension. So in other words, if I'm seeking a release to feel safety, that resolve, right? I'm going to resolve not feeling safe by getting a job that's secure, that pays me every 2 weeks, and it feels safe because I know what's happening and it's predictable. Psychological tension isn't necessarily bad. In fact, it's needed. It's why most of us live this way, but there's also another way of being. So psychological tension says, my job is to keep you safe. It's how you relate to the outside world around you. It's how you're going to operate, and it originates from things in our childhood. It starts when we're little. It's the part of you that says, nope, don't do that. That's scary. Oh, she's going to reject you. Don't do that. It's almost like this ego part of the brain. It's psychological. It's the ego. Call it the part of your brain that says, my job is to keep you safe. So if you're looking for a psychological tension and resolve of not feeling loved, you are going to go create a relationship in order to satisfy the need that you have psychologically of not being loved. So the tension will always look for resolve. Now, when you're creating from this place, which most people are, they are making decisions and creating lives based upon the psychological needs that are not getting met. So if you're looking to feel anything like comfort, right? Your behaviors, because it's tension and because it's creating a dynamic in you that says you're lacking this thing, you will make decisions that will have you project and act upon getting that need met. And until it's resolved, it's tension. It's tension because it's not met. It needs to get met. It's going to look for the easiest way to do it. We're wired as humans to look for the least resistance possible, and it all makes sense. Beautiful. Okay. So if we're going to create a life that we say that we love, what are we told? turn on like, I don't know, go to Amazon or turn on any social media outlet out there. And most advocates are saying self-help and self-help and self-help and self-help. And it's this repetitive paradigm that says you're broken. You don't think like I do. You don't talk like I do. You don't walk like I do. And then what really pisses me off, by the way, is the inauthenticity that causes. It says, in order to be successful, you need to think the way that I do, right? Isn't that crazy? Because it made sense. I totally was operating from this paradigm until like literally last week. And I'll tell you what shifted in 7 days. I'm aware, I've not mastered, I am aware that a lot of my day comes from getting needs met that I didn't know needed resolved. So then how do you switch that? If you're going to create a life you want and you're not doing it under the paradigm of self-help books and courses and the next guru and the next guy and the next thing and the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, because we are programmed to keep searching. Like, let's be honest, it's every year January hits, and what do people say? I got new goals. I'm going to crush it. I'm going to be the best version of me. Okay, cool. I'm so excited that you're setting goals, and let's look at what structure you're under. If you're under psychological tension and you didn't know it until today, then you're making goals based off of how you'll feel when the end goal gets achieved. And it's a part of your identity that you're not even aware of, okay? But again, the idea and the concept is around creation. So when you set a goal, you're trying to create a better you, because by creating a better you, you have a lot of change happen, right? Not just in your environment, but in your emotional state, your mental state, your spiritual state, all of the things. So we have to ask ourselves, why are we driven to be a better version of ourselves? Well, because that's evolution, right? Like, it's going to happen. Time is passing with or without your buy-in to it. Cool. There is another way of being, though. So if you're safe already and your psychological tension isn't seeking resolve, then you have the possibility to come into this other structure, which is the creation tension. And this makes me really excited, because when you get into creation tension, you have possibility. Creative tension says, hey, I feel safe now. I am loved now. I don't lack anything now. By the way, let's define now. It's no opportunity withheld. It's no opportunity withheld. So when you have opportunities, you start to get to actually choose. And it's interesting, because we think every day we're making choices that we get to choose. But when you're under psychological tension, you really aren't choosing. You're just going under a certain set of habits that said when you were 5, you didn't feel loved. And so under that tension, you're going to go look for love. So you're going to create actions and habits that search to meet that fulfillment. So you're going to go jump into a relationship to feel loved. Now, when you go into the creative tension, here's what's really cool. If you're loved already, are you going to walk into an abusive marriage? If you're loved now and your psychological tension isn't seeking resolve because you don't resist your current state, your current reality, your current now, are you really choosing things differently now? So for example, if I'm in a creative tension, it's still tension. Like, I'm still growing. Here's where the tension comes from. If I'm going to go create a relationship after already being loved, and I want to create a relationship that's epic, where we travel all the time and we learn new things and, whatever. If I have that goal, creative tension says I've never done this before and there's risk involved. And risk naturally is going to give you tension, because if I have a goal to go travel and I've never had these experiences before, and I have to learn new languages, or I have to book flights I've never done, or all these things, I've got tension because it's new. I have never been here before. And after you create something, there's always chaos, because you're in a state and an environment that's supporting growth, and actual growth by choice, not from a place of lack, but from a point of view of choosing. So when you're in creative tension, now you've got a tension that it's healthy tension, right? It's the kind I talked about in the beginning. It's good. It's freaking good. It means that you no longer have to take 3 steps back and 2 steps forward. You only get to move forward because you've never been here. And by that, there's nothing to go back to, because you're not resisting your current reality, because your psychological needs are already met. And when you're creating from a place of acceptance, it's wild what actually happens, because you can't have both. Okay, so now I need you to follow me just to make this really simple. Psychological tension is when you don't even recognize that all of your behavior and your choices are based off of lacking something. It's part of an identity, and it's how you originated in the world in your childhood. It's how you relate. It's the thing that keeps you safe. Okay, so those things have to be resolved first before you can move into creative tension, because if you don't put down the psychological tension first, then you will have the issue that we have in the self-help world, which is read this book, change for about a day, retain nothing, make a big mistake, judge yourself, and then go get another course. Go get another one-all, save-all pill. Okay, awesome. So you still have the desire. The desire hasn't changed. You're trying to do something about your current situation because you dislike it. Do you see the difference? You're in self-help. You're in these courses. You're in these programs. You're in these things. You're looking for the mentor. You're looking for the support because something is not okay now. Something is seriously not okay now, which again goes to a belief that you're broken, which goes to a belief that you're not enough, which goes to a belief that says you're not filling all of the needs that you need met now. And when you can't meet those needs now, you've got tension there. So you've already got that happening. Your conscious brain is like, well, let's go create something awesome. Let's go get a better life. Like, let's just ditch the old one and go into a new one. So then you're trying to ride two horses at once. Your needs aren't getting met, so you have to meet them first, and you're trying to break habits and break away from your past and the things that keep you small. Under the psychological tension, it's the part of you that says, stay small, they're going to judge you, don't do that, what's your family going to say? And oh my gosh, if you break away, like, don't do that, right? If you're dealing with that tension and you're dealing with the tension of new, now you've got a system where the brakes and the gas are on at the same time. So you're in this vehicle, right? It's called your life. And you're like, I'm going to go forward. You can't have your foot on the brakes and the gas at the same time. It does not work. So what do you have to do? You have to let your foot off the brake. So how do you do that? Well, you have to let go of the psychological tension, because the tension is causing chaos and you're trying to create from a place that doesn't allow you to create. Another thing I want to tell you about creative tension is this. If you have to give yourself more than one reason, this is so crazy, mind-blowing. If you have to give yourself more than one reason to do something, you're trying to convince yourself that it's actually what you want, and then you're still operating under psychological tension. That's how you know. For example, we'll go back to the relationship. If I want to create a beautiful, enriching, fulfilling, amazing, immaculate relationship, and I say that I want to travel the world with them and I want to explore and we want to make lots of money and we want all of these things, if I'm still convincing myself to date this person but still justifying it, then I can almost guarantee I'm operating out of psychological tension, which is, well, he's not this, or well, she's not that, but I guess, well, we go into this justification almost of why we have to convince ourselves, instead of, I choose this person because I desire them. Like, that's it. Like, I choose it. I just want it. I desire it. Like, how simple is that? Isn't that mind-blowing? I have a lot of people, especially, who come to me and are like, Bree, like, do I leave this person or do I not? Right? Or when I'm coaching someone, it's like, hey, do I stay or do I go, or like, what do I do? And here's the thing. I'm not ever going to tell you what to do. No one should ever tell you what to do. That's your first problem. But ask yourself, are they meeting needs that you don't know how to get met? Okay, awesome. Now you're aware. The goal is to become aware that you're operating out of psychological tension. Okay, he makes you or she makes you feel loved. But at the same time, you're not really happy because in the creative tension, you desire a relationship where this person isn't X, Y, Z, and, C. but you're settling, right? That's another good way to look at it. You're settling because it says psychological tension says, well, I'm getting this out of it. Like, let's go back to the job. If I have a need for comfort and safety, my job provides that to me when I have a steady paycheck for 2 weeks. That's really nice to my brain, right? Like, that feels safe. That feels good. That feels promising because I can guarantee it. How the hell am I going to go into creative tension and say I want to start a business if I'm just worried about like the safety that my job creates? I have to make sure that I create safety first, drop my psychological tension, and then move into the creative tension that says, okay, I have never started a business before, so now I'm going to feel new tension. That tension says, oh my gosh, I have never learned how to market before. I have never learned how to develop, communication skills. I have never learned how to write these emails and do this publishing or write a book. That's good tension, right? Because I chose into that tension. It was my choice because my needs were met first. So if you're catching on here, your next question should be, well, then how? Which I'm not going to disclose in this podcast. However, it's so good to have this awareness because you'll start to figure things out without me preaching to you. But it's really inspiring. Like, my mind was freaking like mind blown. Like, you mean to tell me that once I figure out how to drop my psychological tension, that I get to go create new tension and then still feel, tension, but not feel chaos? And then you mean to tell me that that's normal and I'm not broken and I don't have to think like someone that I don't agree with and I don't have to read another boring book that I'm not interested in? Like, ew. Shoot me. Don't tell me how to think. Don't tell me how to talk. Don't tell me how to walk. I want to be me. I want to be authentic. Like, don't we all want that? And then it got me thinking, oh my gosh, like, what is success? Because if all of your needs were met right now, if I handed you the $1 million and the amazing relationship and all of the energy and your kids were amazing and everything fell in line, what would you desire? And if you don't know, that tells me you have never been in creative tension before. But let me tell you something really exciting. Once you understand how to get that mastered, like anything, this is just mastery, okay? Don't put drama into it where it doesn't belong. It's not hard. It's not complicated. It's an awareness and it's new. So choose your words wisely. But it's really inspiring to accept the truth that you can create a life you love. And it doesn't have to be through the paradigm of, well, someone did it this way, so it has to look that way. I could teach you so much about relationships. It would blow your freaking mind. And not because I didn't go through the psychological tension, because I did that. I did that for 26 years of my life, like up until this point. And what's amazing is now that I'm entering creative tension, I get choice. I no longer look for him to make me feel full, where if you heard my first episode, oh my gosh, guys, I've been divorced twice and I'm 26 freaking years old. Like, I used to be so ashamed of that. And then I realized, no, there was beliefs that were handed to me when I was young. This is how my mom did things and I took that on. This is how my dad did things and I took that on. But you're not a statistic. Okay, so if I can stamp this and wrap it up in a really cute bow for January 2022, here's what's awesome. Go back to your dream board or your vision board. If you don't have one, you should probably look at that. Go back to the goals you wrote down, or maybe you haven't done it yet. Awesome. I want you to ask yourself, if I could create anything off of one sentence, not because I'm justifying it, not because I'm convincing myself, but if I could create one thing, what would I create because I desired it? And that was it. I'm doing this because I desire to, period. Not because I have to, or I should, or I shouldn't, or well, what if, and I can't. And like, that is just the psychological tension right there talking to you saying, hey, don't look at your other options. You're going to die. And that's not true either, but it's really cool because we teach these things. I can teach you these things. They are so amazing. And honestly, it is so liberating because if you go to my website, it's BriMarie.com, BRI Marie, MARIE.com. I had spent almost $20,000 in between $11,000 and $20,000 of self-help programs. Now, do I regret that? Freak no. There's so much of those things that have taught me to be who I am, to think like I am, to talk like I do. Same thing with my career. Like, I jumped off my career, not because I hated it, not because I disliked it, not because I wasn't happy. But at the end of the day, like, I realized if I'm really as creative and powerful as all of these books say I am, then why am I not acting? And I wanted off of this hamster wheel so damn bad. I didn't want to be the person reading the book. I wanted to be the one writing it. Like, how many times do you look at something so inspiring and your brain says, psychological tension says, yeah, well, they can do it because, well, they were gifted because, or they had what they needed at a young age, and so they got more lucky, right? Like, that's a freaking lie that you're hiding behind. That's a belief you need to look at because that's a sign of low self-esteem and low self-worth. But when you get to understand that you're responsible for your life and you take accountability for the options that you have, now you see that life is just two structures. And it's going to be simple, and that's okay. Agree or disagree. Your life is yours. Choose it. But if you can see that there's two structures and one is psychological tension and the other is creative tension, it is so amazing because then you're like, oh, I just want to be on the right side. I don't want to be on the left side anymore. I don't want to make decisions because I don't feel loved. I don't want to make decisions because I don't feel safety. I don't want to make decisions because I lack. And when I tell you and teach you and coach you on how to drop that, then you can move into creative tension. And then it's freaking amazing because the tension you experience is nothing more than the miracles you wanted in the first place, right? Like, how many times do you read this thing and it's like, just think it, like Think and Grow Rich, just think it and it will manifest. And it's like, yeah, there's truth to that. And I can be thinking about being rich all day long. And at the end of the day, I can dream it and it feels a dream. But if I'm still searching for my needs of comfort and safety, and I find that only in 9 to 5, I mean, I've got a lot to put down before I can just go hop into this pool, into the next one. Do you understand? Because what you're doing by doing both is way more damaging than just staying in one pool or the other. So if you realize that you're in psychological tension right now and you are like, wow, like I don't want to be here, it's okay. What I don't want for you is what I had to go $20,000 into debt for looking for, which was not to do both. Don't be in both. Don't have the tension of, well, I need safety still and I don't know what to do and I'm worried and I have anxiety and I'm trying to create my business and now I don't even know what I'm doing, because what will happen is it will shut down. You will literally shut down. People call it burnout. I call it something different. It's literally this overwhelm, right? You're like, foot's on the gas, foot's on the brake, we're going at the same time, and like, how does this work? And then you're screwing up your system, you're just screwing it up because you're judging yourself for not being at point B, but you're still at point A. So in order to go from A to B, we just got to look at really what's stopping you, really what are your needs that aren't getting met, and even under that, like what pressure or tension, what tension is looking for resolve. Does that make sense? So I'm really excited about this, really excited to help you start your new year with an awareness that you have choice and you have an option to have a new way of being. And I'm really freaking excited to help people on this journey this year. So I've got space open. Go again to my website, briemarie.com. I also am really excited because in the next couple of podcasts, we're going to talk about even deeper things really that will help you so much, not just in work and not just in love, but really the embodiment of really what you define your needs are, like really what it is that you're seeking. And I get really passionate about helping people become authentic, because when you start to shed those layers, it's so freaking freeing, and it's scary, and it can be. And I believe that support is necessary when you don't have someone who is able to walk you on your journey and you don't feel like you can really hero yourself out of it. Here's my stamp on that. You're freaking enough now. You're freaking not broken, and you're freaking worthy. And so if in a world where you have all of those things as truth, you're worthy and you're confident and you're amazing, what do you want to create? If you didn't have any obstacle from A to B, what right now would you want and desire to do? With a period at the end, not a question mark. I desire this, period. And if you don't know, you should probably go look at that. So happy Tuesday. Let's have an awesome week, and I will catch you on the next episode. Bye.